Hold on to your wallets, America, because a big tax hike could be coming your way. It all has to do with something called the sunset provision in the tax law. Basically, parts of the tax cuts passed under President Trump are set to expire at the end of 2025. If that happens, and Congress doesn't do anything, many Americans could see their taxes go up. This isn't just some abstract policy debate. This is about how much money you'll have left in your pocket at the end of the month. It affects your ability to save for a house, pay for your kids' education, or even just afford that vacation you've been dreaming of. So, how did we get here? Why are these tax cuts expiring in the first place? And who's going to be hit the hardest? Buckle up, because we're about to break it down for you. Back in 2017, President Trump signed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. This law, a cornerstone of his presidency, significantly lowered taxes for corporations and individuals. The idea was to boost the economy by leaving more money in people's pockets and giving businesses more incentive to invest and create jobs. While the law was praised by Republicans, Democrats largely criticized it. They argued that it disproportionately benefited the wealthy and would ultimately explode the national debt. Regardless of the political back and forth, one thing was clear. The law had a built-in expiration date for individual tax cuts. This was a strategic move by Republicans to pass the legislation while avoiding certain budgetary constraints. They knew that making the cuts permanent would have been much harder to pass through Congress. Fast forward to today, and the 2025 deadline is looming large. The White House is sounding the alarm, warning of a potential tax hike tsunami if these cuts expire. They argue that Republicans set this ticking tax time bomb and are now holding the American people hostage. Republicans, for their part, are firing back. They argue that the economy was booming under their tax plan, and letting the cuts expire would be a huge mistake. They're calling on Congress to extend the cuts, framing it as a fight for the middle class. So, who's right? Well, like most things in Washington, it's complicated. The truth is, both sides have a point. The Trump tax cuts did lead to economic growth, but they also benefited the wealthy more than the middle class. And while letting the cuts expire would raise taxes for many, it would also generate much-needed revenue for the government. So, what does this all mean for you? Well, if you're an average American, there's a good chance you could see your taxes go up in a couple of years. How much they go up depends on your income level and what Congress decides to do. Here's the good news. This isn't a done deal. Congress still has time to act. They could extend the Trump tax cuts, let them expire, or come up with a completely different plan. The only thing that's certain is this: the fight over taxes is far from over. And in the end, it's the American people who will be left holding the bag.